Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. So, tonight is going to be a little different than our former lessons. Tonight, we're going to be getting really into the routines. I realize that if we continue to go through the various trading strategies and you don't learn how to combine them, number one, then you will find it difficult to trade with it. So, I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to develop your own routine, number one. Number two, learn how to combine the trading strategies. And number three, to help you to set your actual schedule so that you can build your time around it. Once you have established what it is that you want to do, once you have established your schedule, then you know where you're going to be going from there. All right, so that being said, welcome everyone. Thank you guys so much once again for joining tonight. Please do click on that share button, share, share, share. So before we get started, let's start with a prayer. Father, we thank you so much once again for another opportunity to dive deeper into what we believe that you are calling us to. We ask you, Lord, that you would use the knowledge that we gain from tonight and the knowledge that is shared tonight to help everyone that is on this live. We ask you, Father, to continue to bless us with the dreams and the visions and the ideas that you have willed for us to fulfill inside of this life. We know that whenever there is a problem in this world, you allow for a solution to be born into it, and that solution is a child. So we ask you, Lord, to use each and every one of us, the solutions that you have brought forward into this world, to bring forward life, to bring forward just not only prosperity, Lord, but the things that you want for us to save, the things that you want for us to change, the things that you want for us to develop, Lord. You know what it is. And we ask, Lord, that you would open up our eyes so that we could see it. Open up our minds so that we can see how to do it. Father, we ask that you would guide every step of the way so that even when we don't know how to do it, Lord, you would be the one that brings it forward. We thank you so much once again for this opportunity to draw closer to you and to draw closer to our purpose. May you continue to guide us throughout this life, and may you use me tonight to impart knowledge, wisdom, and understanding into each and every person that is on this live for whatever it is that you have willed for them to do. And in Jesus' name we pray, amen. All right, so in part 6, which was I don't want to call this episode, so I will say lesson before this one, we would have covered the trend lines and a bit of how to use the trend lines with the candlestick formation. So tonight, what we are really going to be doing is setting at least 2 trades using that formula. So it's important to practice with what you are taught or with each new lesson, because if you don't practice, again, you won't learn it and you won't master it. So the most important thing is practice. Please practice, 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 practice. You will hear me preach it. You will hear me say it. You will hear me repeat it. And it's because you can become a master in theory. But when it comes to actually applying it to the charts, you may end up becoming discouraged because you're not seeing the kind of returns that you want. So to prevent that, what we are looking at doing is, again, practicing, because practicing is how you bring forward what you really want. Last week we set a weekly pip goal, and I have a confession. I ended up, for this exact same reason that we are touching on tonight, because I had not really focused on the routine with it, I did not meet the weekly pip goal. Not because I couldn't, but again, because I was just too busy. So to prevent that from, if it happened to me, it's going to happen to you. To prevent that from happening to you, tonight we're going to be talking about routines, schedules, and how to make sure that you schedule your time. For me, I'm an early morning person. I'm an early riser, or an early bird, as people often call it. So if you are, then 8 a.m. I definitely recommend being inside of the charts. That's one of the times when the market is really moving or getting ready to go in the direction it will go in for that day. So 8 a.m. is definitely a time that I recommend. You may remember we went over the time zones. So again, 8 a.m. is a time when the London session and the New York session cross over. Those are 2 of the most volatile. Volatile means 2 of the sessions that move the most. So that's the best time to trade if you're an early morning riser. If you are a night owl, 3 a.m. is your time. If you're not a night owl that stays up that late, then you can look at somewhere around 8 p.m. like what we do, 9 p.m. But really from 10 p.m. onward is where most of the movement happens in the night. So please identify your time. By the way, feel free to send a message in the chat. Good night, everyone. Thank you guys once again for joining us. Let me know what time works best for you. For me, I am an 8 a.m. person. I would not mind trading with you guys when I go into the markets. But once again, I'm going to be in the markets from around 7:30, 8 a.m. If you are willing to be up and ready to go at that time, send a message in the chat. I'll make sure that you're added to the WhatsApp group. That is when I will be up and trading. So that being said, let's get straight into how to combine the trading strategies. All right, so once again, if you guys have not signed up for a Smart Trader as yet, this is a practical session, which means we are going to be doing a lot of trades, a lot of things on hand, on the live. I'm expecting for you guys to work along with me or even to practice after. So please do take the opportunity, guys, to do this as we are live. Good night. Thank you so much, Shalia. It is great to have you with us. So please do go to smarttrader.com and let's get started. Now make sure you identify your time for the daily routine. Mine is 8 a.m. Again, let me know if you're not in the WhatsApp group. I'm going to let them know that from this week onward, we are going to be trading from 8 a.m. if you want to be a part of my trade group. So the strategy that we will be using will be two simple strategies, which I showed you guys thus far, which is trend lines and candlestick formations. If you have not done so as yet, once again, please go to smarttrader.com and sign up. It's very simple. You just click on the Get Started button, fill in your name, email address, and create a password, and you are ready to go. All right, now let's get to the charts. All right, just give my internet a moment to load. All right, so while it is loading, we had some news that came out for NZD USD. Let's see if we could get FX Street up on the screen. So fxstreet.com, once again, guys, is the news, or specifically Forex news. It helps you to pay attention to whatever information recently came out, whatever news recently came out for the charts. You can go to news and then move over to any of the specific currency pairs that you guys would prefer to trade. GBP USD is a great pair. Please do identify. Remember from last week, you were supposed to identify 3 currencies that you want to trade. So now our routine is going to be from 8 a.m. For early morning persons. If you are a late night trader, then please do take the opportunity to do so. The reason that we have the WhatsApp group is to, again, connect like-minded persons. So you would be able to trade with persons on Zoom that are also night owls. All right, so if you look at the most recent news, AUD USD, so you can see it says that they are awaiting buyers are awaiting China's return below 0.7100. So when it says retreats, that means that in that currency pair, it's going down. All right, here we go. So now, oh, come on. Please forgive my internet, guys. I just have to log into my account. Okay, so while we are waiting on that, if you guys could also go to FX Street, then there is a way to turn on the notifications. So please, once you go there, it will show you a prompt asking you to turn on the notifications. Please turn it on. So again, you know which markets to pay attention to. So I already have an account. I will just log into it. All right, there we go. All right, so last week, if we go to the history, you would see the trade that we would have entered from last week. So we used a strategy where we combined, once again, trend lines and candlestick formations. So what we were trading was a market, this market right here, NZD USD. And I will bring up the details so you guys could see what that trade was from last week. So let's see, our entry price was 0.5569. And it doesn't seem to be showing the take profit and stop loss right now. I would have loved to have shown that to you guys, but for now, I guess we will skip over it. We were looking to get 37, if I'm not mistaken, pips, and the market went to 35 before it changed direction. Because if you look at this, what we were actually trading was a counter trend line, which, as you could see, the market would have actually hit our take profit because it was around here, but we had readjusted our stop loss to prevent us from having a loss. So that's why you see the 4.2 there. So we got 4.3 pips last week. We could have easily gotten 35 pips if we had closed it earlier, but it's important to allow for the strategy to do what it's supposed to. As you could see, it actually did. It just had some what we call consolidation, which is sideways movement. So buyers and sellers were fighting hard right here, and eventually the buyers won and the market went up. But enough talking. Let's go to a new currency pair so that we could actually look at what we came to look at tonight, which is combining strategies. So if you are not familiar with candlestick formations, I'm just going to put them on the screen so you guys could see. All right, so first and foremost, we have the bullish candlestick formations. So one of the most common bullish candlestick formations is actually the morning star. Feel free to take a screenshot of what is currently on your screen so you could keep it with you while you're trading. It's important to pay attention to these. So the bullish morning star has a red full body candle on the left, an indecision or small candle in the middle, and a full body green candle on the right that closes at least 60%, that closes above at least 60% of the previous red candle. So this bullish morning star can have a couple of those small or indecision candles in the center, but I will teach you guys more about that in a moment. So then there is what we call the bullish piercing line. Red full body candle on the right, on the left, green full body candle on the right. That again must close above at least 60% of the previous red candle. There is the tweezer bottom, which means that the wicks must be at least 60% of the candle. The bullish engulfing candle, it is larger than at least 1.5 of the previous candle. So you're going to see me quickly switching through these so that we could get to the trend lines and how to combine these. And last but not least, you have the bullish shooting star, which essentially is a red full body candle on the right, and a green hammer is what we call the name of this candle. It has a small body on the top, a very small wick to the top, little to no wick to the top, and a very long tail to the bottom. So the wick is the thin line to the top, the tail is the thin line to the bottom. So these are the kind of formations that you want to pay attention to as you are trading using your trend lines. So let's get back to the market. GBP USD. We are going to see whether this market has been bullish or bearish by going first and foremost to the 1 year time frame. All right, so it looks like this market is in a bearish trend. So we're going to go on the 1 month and see if it is still the same. So with each of the smaller time frames, they only show more movement of what is illustrated on the larger time frames. So what I mean by that is, as you could see on the larger time frame, the market was moving in a downward trend. So as you go to the smaller time frame, which is the 1 month, then you are able to see more candles that represent what happened as the market went down. So the first thing that we are going to do, since we could see that this market is in a downtrend, is we are going to draw a downtrend line. So just to give you a bit on how to draw your downtrend line, you're going to look for, first and foremost, the highest high. If you don't remember what a high is from our last session, firstly, I would like to ask you to please go back and watch let's see, this is part 7, so part 6, so that you can learn more about how to draw trend lines. So a high is a candle that is higher than the 2 candles on the left and the 2 candles on the right. So this is a high, and this is what we call the highest high, because of course it is higher than all of the other highs inside of the market, as you could see. So zooming back into it, the other thing that we need to identify is what we call the lowest low. So a low is the opposite of a high. A low is a candle that is lower than the 2 candles on the left and the 2 candles on the right. So this is what we would call the lowest low, because of course it is lower than all of the other lows that you see in the market. So the reason why you want to look for those two is because that will tell you where you are drawing your trend line in between. So essentially, we are looking from here to here for the downtrend. So how we're going to draw that trend line is we're going to go back to our geometric tools, select trend line. We will select the tip of the wick of the highest candle, drag our trend line out until it's above the red arrow or the most recent movement in the market, and pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low. So any of the highs here. And the reason why is because this is where that trend line was relevant. As you could see, the market recently broke that trend line. So now we can expect for the market to start moving in an upward direction. So what we need to do is remove this downtrend line. And now we're going to look to draw an uptrend line from the lowest low to the highest high from where the new trend begins. So our new trend line will start here. Okay, so let's first identify the lowest low and the highest high. First here, you have your lowest low. And here is where you have your highest high. So these two are almost on the same level, but this one is higher. So this candle, once again, what makes it a high is that it's higher than the 2 candles on the left and the 2 candles on the right. So we're going to start our trend line from the lowest low. Okay, we're going to identify, where we're drawing our trend line in between. Then we're going to start our trend line from the lowest low. I'm just going to move this box so you can see that a little better. We're going to drag it out until it is below the red arrow or the most recent movement in the market, and pull it up until it touches one of the lows that comes before the highest high, which is right here. So you can see with GBP USD, it's having a bit of indecision is what we call it, or consolidation, which is sideways movement. So the bears and the bulls, or the buyers and the sellers, are fighting very, very hard. And this again is on the monthly time frame. So now we are going to draw a downtrend from this point, which is where it would have broken the line, to the lowest low. So here, this would be your highest high now. Drag it out until it's above the red arrow, pull it down until it touches one of the candles that comes before the lowest low. Now, since this market is having so much indecision going on, I really would not recommend trading in it right now. So we are going to go to a different currency pair for our example today. So for tonight, we can see the GBP AUD is still moving in an upward trend from the last point, or from the last time that we looked at it. So just again to show you guys how to draw your trend lines on the larger time frame. You can see if you're looking at the overall movement, it looks like it's moving in a downtrend. So we're going to start off with that. Once again, the first thing that you need to identify is the highest high and the lowest low. So this here would be the highest high. Again, the high is the candle that is higher than the two candles on the left and the two candles on the right. And for the lowest low, that would be this right here. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on that. All right, so now we've got our highest high and our lowest low. So this is where we're going to be drawing our trend line in between. This helps you to just identify once again where your trend line will be drawn, especially if you're new to drawing them. So I do recommend using the box if you need it, just to start off with. So now once again, we're going to start our downtrend line from the highest high, drag it out until it gets to above that red arrow or the most recent movement in the market, and pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low. So that would be here. So I'm just going to extend this, and we can see that the market is still moving in a downtrend overall. So right now, the reason why the market is going up more recently is so that it could get closer to that long-term downtrend line and eventually start moving down once again. So what we are going to do is draw an outer trend line. So to do that, once again, we need to identify the last point that touched the line and the lowest low. So that would be this, the last point that touched the line. Drag it out until it's above the most recent movement in the market, and pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low. You can see that this outer trend line was broken. So if we draw an uptrend line from the lowest low, again, drag it out until it's below the red arrow, pull it up until it touches one of the highs that comes before the highest high. So that would be this from the last point that broke the trend line. So as you could see, again, the market broke that line. So now we're going to start from here. Drag it out until it's above the red arrow or the most recent movement, and pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low. So that would be this one. And as you can see, again, the market broke that line. Last but not least, you could see the line that stood the test of time thus far, which is even though this is on a larger time frame, like a 1 month time frame, this is actually a counter trend line. So we know that the market is actually moving in an overall downward direction, but the market makes waves. So in order for it to go further down, it has to first pull back. So it needs to go in the upward direction, and then it's going to go further down. So next week, we are going to be going on to the ABCD strategy, which you heard me mention last week. But again, I realized that if we continue to go over new strategies every week, you guys won't get the opportunity to practice and learn how to combine the strategies. So for now, once we learn a new strategy, the week after, we are going to learn how to combine all of the strategies that we would have learned thus far. All right, so we would have our counter trend line. Then, of course, we drew more trend lines, getting closer to the movement. So we're going to move to a 1 week time frame. And you can see that this trend line still is relevant. And we should be able to extend this a little bit. But before we do that, let's move to a smaller time frame, so the 1 day. All right, once again, it looks like our trend lines are still accurate. So we don't need to readjust for now. But we do need to readjust this one. So we're going to go from the last point that came closest to the line, drag it out until it's below the most recent movement in the market, and pull it up until it touches one of the candles that comes before the highest high. So right now the market is still moving in that upward direction. So now we could go to a smaller time frame. I am a day trader, which means that I trade on the 1 hour time frame or the 30-minute time frame. As you go through these routines, as you practice, you're going to identify which time frames are best for you. So for you, you may be a 1 minute time frame trader. You may be a 5-minute time frame trader. You may be a 15-minute time frame trader. And that would make you a scalper. So a scalper is a person that only looks to go into a trade and get a small amount of pips before exiting the market. So before I go any further, I want to say good night, Wilton McKinsey. Okay, Wilton also says that he has to start over again because he got caught up with everything, so I totally understand. Awesome, I will add you to the group, Wilton. If there is anyone on here that is not a part of the WhatsApp group, please do let me know. As of Monday onward, we will be trading from 8 a.m. every morning. It might be 7:30, but 8 a.m. is when you can really expect to see us starting. So we're going to be going through, I have 5 markets that I really love to trade, but I do recommend that you guys start off with 3 so that even after our trading sessions, then you guys still have some trades that you can make. You still have some other currencies that you can look at. So that being said, when you sign up with Smart Trader, it automatically gives you a demo account. So you can start trading with it. You could start practicing with it. You could get the feel of what it would be like once you actually start to trade. It's exactly the same as if you were to be trading on a live account with your demo account. So just to give you, if you're not familiar, good evening, observation complete. Great to have you with us as well. So if you're not familiar with the markets and how it works, on Sundays at 5 p.m. the markets open, Fridays at 5 p.m. the markets close. Now the markets are actually still moving 24 hours every single day, and every day $5.3 trillion and up is traded inside of this market. So, anytime, Milton McKinsey, thank you so much for joining. So that being said, we will be trading from Sunday evenings and then Monday mornings, basically every morning except Friday morning. The reason being, Friday, you don't want to be caught in a trade. I'm a day trader. It may take maximum 72 hours for one of my trades to close, which is why I don't like to trade on a Friday. So for us, if you are going to be trading with me in the morning sessions, then you can expect Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Fridays, I don't trade. Now, you can trade as a scalper on a Friday, and you should be absolutely fine. Because scalpers, once again, are only looking for 5 pips. They're only looking for 6 pips. They might be looking for 10, but that's the maximum. So, day traders, we are looking for anywhere between 250 to, let's say, 50 pips. So, 50 to 250 pips per day. That's what we look for. Longer term traders, they're looking at 500 to maybe 1,500, 2,000 pips, but they are pretty much in it for almost a week, so they are willing to risk that much. Good evening, Omar Mills. Thank you so much for joining us as well. It is great to see you on. So please do identify your routines. Please do identify your strategies. Please do identify how long you are willing to be inside of the market. I will provide all of this information inside of the WhatsApp group so that everyone can start to choose what their routines will look like. You need to know these things as a trader so that you can really set your schedule for it. And you can always trade around your schedule. So if you have a busy schedule like me, you can still find the time. All right, that being said, it also helps with setting up your charts on a Sunday because as you could see, these lines were here from last week Sunday and they are still relevant. The market is still moving further up, which means that if we had set any trades inside of GBP AUD last week, we would have had a profit. So that being said, let's get straight into it. So we are on the 4-hour time frame. And as you could see, the movement is still going even faster. So we still would need what we call an inner trend line. So to draw that inner trend line, that would come from the last point that came closest to the line, or you can do it from the last high. It's up to you. Because with the inner trend line, again, you're trying to get as close to the most recent movement in the market as possible. So we're going to draw it from here, drag it out to below that red arrow and pull it up until it touches one of the tails that comes before. This would be the highest high at this point. So we could see the market is still going up. I'm going to go now on the 1-hour time frame. Again, this is where I set my trades. Oh, observation complete says that he did make a profit on the last trade, which is awesome. Feel free to let us know how much pips you got from the last trade. Again, right now we are focusing on the pips instead of the dollar value because the pips shows you how much you are improving versus the dollar value. You can easily make, if you're trading at $1 per pip and you only get 5 pips, you could easily make $5 in, it could be 1 minute, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes. So that's why we're not looking at the dollar value, we're looking at the pips. So that being said, all right, now if we are looking at where this market is currently going, one of the ways that you can identify when to enter for a trade using trend lines, as we covered last week, is a counter. Oh, observation complete says that he made 46.6 pips last week, which is awesome. So observation complete got very close to hitting our 50 pip goal from last week. Great job, great job. So I'm very proud of you. All right, this week we are still sticking with the 50 pips as our goal. And again, we are going to be trading Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 8 a.m. or 7:30. But you guys will have to let me know who's up, and I will send the Zoom link inside the WhatsApp group. If you're not in the WhatsApp group yet, please send a message. Let me know. My number is 437-4326. So that will help me with adding you. I'm just going to put that up on the screen so you guys could take that down. Give me 1 second. All right, so once again, my phone number is 437-4326. All right, so getting back to the trading. As I was saying, one of the ways that you can identify when to enter for a trade is with a counter trend line break. So a counter trend line is when the market is making what we call a retracement or a temporary movement in the opposite direction so that the market can move further if it's an uptrend, then further upward. If it's a downtrend, further downward. So right now, this market, even though we could see on the larger time frame, it's going up and it's trying to get. Now the line is going to be pretty far because on the 1 month time frame, it was already pretty far. So the market is trying to get all the way up here, which means that we have a whole lot of buying that we can do before it gets to this line on the monthly time frame. So GBP AUD, we can expect to continue going up for quite some time. And this is something that you want to identify in each of the markets that you're looking to trade. So you know on a consistent basis, you're looking to either buy or sell. All right, so with the counter trend line, you would start it from the last, since this is a uptrend, the last high, and pull it down until it connects to the last low. And you can see that this counter trend line was broken, but we do not yet have a bullish candlestick formation that is shown on this side. So as a result, I would not recommend trading it as yet. It looks like right now the market is trying to get further down and closer to this line before it bounces back up. So for now, we are going to leave GBP AUD alone and see what it's going to do. Let's move instead to AUD USD, which, if I'm not mistaken, is what we got the information on from FX Street. So that market is moving in a downward direction right now, according to FX Street. So let's go on the 1 year time frame. So this is how I always start with all of my charts and what I recommend that you guys do as well. You want to identify, is it in an overall upward or overall downward trend? The trend lines help you with identifying exactly how high or exactly how low it's going to go. All right, so observation complete said that with the trade that he had made, he had it set at $1 a pip. So that means that he made $46 in his demo account, which is awesome. And I see you guys having a conversation inside the chat, so that's awesome. Happy to see you connecting. All right, so please do feel free to ask questions. I am going to be checking the chat every now and again. So if you have any questions, I can answer them. All right, back to the chart. So with AUD USD on the 1 year time frame, we are going to start from the lowest low and go further up until we see if that uptrend line has been broken. So again, we're going to start from the lowest low, drag it out until it's below the most recent movement in the market, and pull it up until it connects to one of the lows that comes before the highest high. So this is the highest high. Let me know if I'm moving too quickly, by the way. I don't want to go too fast. So if I need to slow down, please do let me know. All right, so as we can see, that uptrend line was broken. So now we're going to draw our downtrend line. So we're going to start from the highest high, drag it out to the most recent movement in the market, and pull it down until it touches one of the highs or one of the candles that comes before the lowest low. So at this point, we could see that it connected to this candle here, which means that the market is still moving in a downtrend and has a very, very long way to go. So we're going to switch to a smaller time frame and see how we can trade it. All right, so we're going to go to the 1 month time frame to get just a little bit more of development. And as you guys watch me, then you will observe where I shift from in the time frames. So it would be 1 year, then 1 month, 1 week, 1 day, 4 hour, 1 hour. Those are the time frames that I move from when I'm drawing on the charts, and it helps me as a day trader to find the best or the quickest analysis. So I can just quickly shift through, especially if I've already drawn all of my trend lines and all the other trading strategies that I use on my charts. So I do recommend that you guys use it as well. But I do want to explain what I'm doing right now. As you can see, as we move to a smaller time frame, you're going to need to readjust your trend line. So it also helps if you are readjusting your line to have the gray square just a little bit beyond that highest high, so you could see when the line is touching and when it needs to be readjusted. So Omar Mills is asking what time frame is best for you to do your analysis on. It depends on what kind of trader you are. So if you're a day trader like me, trends is something that is very important. So you want to start from the 1 year or 1 month. You don't necessarily have to go all the way to the year. I just do it for being as thorough as possible. But you can start from the 1 month time frame, shift quickly through 1 week, 1 day, and then on the 1 day time frame, that's where you would draw your outer trend line. So long-term trend line would be 1 month, outer trend line 1 day, and you can draw trend lines on. If you prefer to trade on the 4-hour time frame, then you can do that. If you prefer to trade on the 1-hour time frame, you can go there and start drawing your lines for your inner trend line. If you want to trade on the 30-minute, go there. But if you are a scalper, then you really don't need to go all the way to the 1 month or year. A scalper is really just trading based on the most recent movement. So what you want to do is go on a 1-hour time frame, draw an inner trend line, and then move to either a 15-minute or a 10-minute or a 5-minute time frame. 5-minute is what I would recommend if you draw it on the 1 hour. If you draw it on a 4-hour time frame, the inner trend line is again from the last either low or high. So if it's an uptrend, from the last low to before the last high, and then if it's a downtrend, from the last high to before the last low. So just to give you an idea of what that really looks like, let's go back to GBP AUD. Since GBP AUD is in indecision, we'll go to GBP USD, which is also an indecision. So GBP seems to be a little iffy right now. Let's jump to USD JPY. Always reliable. USD JPY is one of those currency pairs that does the trends last in USD JPY. So, all right. The last low would be here. It looks like the market is moving up right now. And let's see, the highest high would be about here. So, okay, that one looks like it's also an indecision. Let's try NZD-JPY. NZDJPY is also in a retracement right now, but we'll use it for the sake of illustration for our scalpers to see how they would trade. So from the last, since this is a downtrend it looks like right now, from the last low until we get to the last high. So that would be about here. Now we're going to go to, from 1 hour, we can jump to 30-minute or 15-minute, and you'd see more development. You can readjust your lines accordingly, but we can see that this line was definitely broken. Even so, it looks like the market is going back up. So you can readjust. Now, the smaller the time frame, the quicker the trend changes. And that is why scalpers only look to get about 5 pips. But that being said, we're going to move to the 10-minute time frame. And again, we could see more development. So you want to readjust your line. And just like that, we can draw an inner trend line from here. So you can decide if you want to trade on the 5-minute time frame. So you could again see more development, or on the 1-minute time frame. So according to the 1-minute time frame, the candles would have just recently gotten close to your trend line, as it did before, which means that from here, you would have been looking to buy. If I measure from here to here, you have 3 pips. So a scalper may stay in until they can get about 5 pips, but that is essentially how a scalper trades. A scalper is actually watching the market the entire time that they are trading, because they cannot afford to let their trade go below, like for example, the 3 pips. So once that market gets to 5 pips, they close that trade. All right. So that's how you would trade if you were a scalper. Lincoln Bain, who is the leader of the Coalition of Independents, he's actually a scalper. My fiance is actually a scalper as well. So at this point, they would have closed their trades from here to pretty much once the market gets to about here. So it's getting very close, and then they would have closed their trade. So there are a lot of, I'd say 5 pip movements that happen for scalpers to make. And Lincoln trades at sometimes $100 a pip, sometimes $50 a pip, sometimes $10 a pip. So every time that he closes a trade, he's actually earning $500 or something to that effect by trading as a scalper. But for that kind of trading, you need to have the resources for it. So you need to make sure that you have at least $1,000 on there if you're going to trade at $10 a pip or $1 a pip, even as a scalper. So that is why I recommend we start off using the 10 cents, because you would be surprised how much 10 cents can really make. If you're trading at 10 cents a pip and you're making 50 pips, then by the end of the week, you should have made $5. All right, and as you could see, this is why you need to pay attention as a scalper, because the market just changed direction and it looks like it's actually about to break this line. So as a scalper, you have to pay attention. And if I readjust it, then it did go below the line. So this is where they would close their trade to prevent a loss. So again, scalpers, their trends don't last long, which is why you need to pay attention and see which trades are really worth taking, which ones are best to stay out of. All right. Day trading, you don't necessarily have to wait on the 1 hour time frame. You could go to the 30-minute, but that's the lowest that I would recommend going to on a daily time. Sorry, as a day trader. So what you are seeing is the analysis whenever you come on, the analysis for a day trader. But the analysis that I do, you can also take as a long-term trader and apply to your trades. So you can start off on the 1 year, 1 month. Long-term traders may trade on the 1 day time frame, the 8 hour time frame, or the 4 hour time frame, but they really wouldn't go any lower than 4 hours. So it's up to you which kind of trader you would want to be. I would not recommend long-term trading though, for one reason, and it is that even though, as you could see, scalpers have a lot of risk with just going in on such small time frames and making trades, on the long-term trades, if I go, let's see, 4 hours, every time that the trend line breaks, it is too late for them to see that it broke. So they are already hundreds of pips into the negative when they see that. So long-term traders also have to have a lot of capital. So just to give you an idea of what that looks like, okay, so from here right to there. So that would have been last point to touch the line, lowest low. As you could see, when this trend line break happened, it would have been much too late if they were selling, let's say, from here, and they were expecting for the market to go down. Then if they were expecting it to go any further down than that, they may have thought the market is making a retracement, it's getting close to the line, and then it's going to change direction. But as you could see, it broke. So this is why you have to let the market show you what it's going to do before you trade. They would have gotten their indication, market came close to the line, candlestick formation form, market went down, but eventually it came back up. And if they had their stop loss above that trend line, then it means that the market would have actually hit their stop loss before changing direction. So, and as you could see on the smaller time frame, you would be looking to buy that. So right now it looks like this market is trying to get to, if you don't know yet, 80% of the time when the market breaks one trend line, it's trying to get to the next one. So this market right now is trying to get from here to here. That being said, they would have, let's see, from here to here. Sorry, that's the wrong tool. This would have been 142 pips that happened over 40 hours. Now, from here to here, if they were expecting, let's say, 150 pips or something more than that, then the market would have changed direction. And let's see, from there to there, they would have lost somewhere around 17 pips. So it's not too bad for the risk to reward. Once again, if you use the right risk to reward ratio. But from here to here, that's 127.8 pips. So again, just choose wisely for if you want to be a day trader, where you enter, how much you're risking, and the amount that you trade at. I do recommend with larger time frames that you trade with the smallest possible lot size. Oh, Omar Mills actually identified it. A swing trader is what could also be called a long-term trader. So, okay. That being said, day trading, let's see. If you were trading on the daily time frame, eventually you would have seen that the market would break. So it helps with, it's like the medium between scalping and day trade and long-term trading. So it gives you a nice amount of trend line development, a good amount of trades. You don't have to sit there and watch it. You can set it and forget it. You can walk away and adjust. I always recommend, no matter what kind of trader you are, you adjust your stop loss so that once the market is moving in the direction you expect it to go in, you can close with a profit, whether the market hits your stop loss or hits your take profit. So you guys are going to see what that looks like tonight as well. All right, now the last market that we were in, I think, was AED USD. Let's see. And I think we were still on the 1 month. Right. Okay, so we're going to draw a trend line from the last point that touched the line, drag it out until it's above that red arrow or the most recent movement in the market, pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest point. So once again, 80% of the time when the market breaks one trend line, it's trying to get to another. So at this point, we could see that the market is trying to get here. Once it came close, it resisted and it started to go down. So that being said, what we need to draw instead is a counter trend line. So that is when the market is going up in a downtrend. So we're going to start from the lowest point, drag it out until it's below the most recent movement in the market, pull it up until it touches one of the highs that comes before the highest point. So that would be right here. And the good thing is the market broke the counter trend line. So from here onward, you would have been looking, so I'm going to zoom in so we can see that a little better. You would be looking to sell. Now the beautiful thing is, even though this development looks like a small amount of development, this is on the 1 month time frame. So we could see that the market is now moving in a downtrend again. So what that looks like for us, I'll skip to the 1 week so you could see how that actually developed. Let's readjust our trend line. And on the 1 day time frame, let's see. All right. So now we're going to draw an outer trend line. So from the last point to touch the line, again, how you would draw it is from the last point that touched the line, drag it out until it's above the most recent movement in the market, pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before. Well, this one is actually the lowest low now, so that's very good. The lowest low is closer to the most recent movement. Okay, so Omar, once again, what I'm showing you guys now is actually the trading strategy that I use which is trend lines and candlestick formations. I've combined it with some other things like Fibonacci, which you guys will be learning about either next week or the week after. And the stochastic oscillator. When we are trading on, when we're trading tomorrow, 8 a.m., if you join us, then I'll show you how you can use the stochastic oscillator to show you where it's going to go. It's very similar to an EMA, which is the easiest way to describe it is it's showing you when the market has strength and when the market loses strength. So I'll show you guys more about that. It's basically a monthly average, or market average, movement average. But again, I'll show you guys how to use that more tomorrow morning. So for now, you can use trend lines. These are some of the most reliable trading strategies, trend lines. And you can combine it with the candlestick formations to show you when to enter and where to exit. So that being said, let's see if we could get an inner trend line. So let's move to a smaller time frame. I went to the 4-hour time frame from the 1 day. So once again, the time frames that I shift from are 1 year, 1 month, 1 day, 1 week, 1 day, 4 hour, and then 1 hour. And really all it is adjusting your trend lines. So you shouldn't spend much time on 1 month, 1 week, but you may need to draw an outer trend line on the 1 day and readjust your trend lines 4 hour, possibly draw more trend lines on the 4 hour, and then once you get to the 1 hour, this is where you're actually looking to see if you could get into a trade or not. All right, now we are on the 4-hour time frame. So I'm going to start a trend line from here, which would be one of the highs that came closest to the line. Drag it out until it's above the most recent movement in the market and pull it down until it connects to one of the candles or highs that comes before the lowest point. Alright, so on the 1-hour time frame, we're going to draw an inner trend line to see if we can actually enter the trade. Let's see. Alright, so our inner trend line. Okay, so Amar says that he is using the 20 and 50 EMA on his chart right now. I do recommend, anyway, we will get to more of that tomorrow morning, but I do recommend the 20% level and the 80% level for the EMAs and the stochastic oscillator. You'll see why tomorrow morning. All right, so to draw the inner trend line, we're going to go from the last high, and again, pull it out until it's above the most recent movement in the market, pull it down until it touches one of the candles that comes before. Oh Lord. Okay, so Alright, so now we're going to pull it down until it touches one of the candles that comes before the lowest point. Yes, I will send the Zoom link inside of the group, guys. So again, if you're not in the WhatsApp group as yet, please let me know so that I can add you. Alright, so this inner trend line was recently broken. So again, we're going to draw a counter trend line just in the meantime, and we know that once this counter trend line breaks, then let's see, then we can expect to enter the trade. But as for right now, the market is moving in the upward direction. It looks like a number of markets are in consolidation right now. So this again is why you want to have more than one market that you're looking at to trade. So I said I have 5, but I actually have 6 markets that I watch. Yes, so Omar Mills, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. It might be 7:30, but I'll communicate that by 10 p.m. tonight. So 8 a.m. the latest. Now, please be warned, if any of you are not Christians, if any of you don't really, if you're not a Christian, then please be warned, in the morning I am going to have Christian music playing as we trade. It's just a part of my morning routine and inspiration. So that's my disclaimer. All right. With USDJPY, let's see if we could do this very quickly. You know what? Since we've covered this so many times, I feel like you guys should get this by now. What would be the first step when we are looking at this on the 1-year time frame? Can anyone type that in the chat? Let me know. I'll give you guys a minute to answer. All right, so by 9:10, I will show you guys if I don't get a response. What is the first step? And please understand, during our morning routines, I will definitely be asking questions because, again, I am a practical teacher, which means you guys are going to be showing your charts on the Zoom. So, all right, it's 9:10. I am sorry, guys. We are going to have to move on to the first step. So the first step is actually identifying whether the market is in an uptrend or a downtrend. To do that, you would draw the trend line. Now, the truth is you can truly draw your trend line from the first high or the first low or the first high. But if you do that, then it'll take you a little longer. Your eyes can kind of tell when the market is moving in a downtrend or when the market is moving in an uptrend. So to support it, you're really using the line to confirm it or deny. So we're going to start from the high here, drag it out until it's above the most recent movement in the market, and pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low, which in this case would be here. So we could see that trend line was broken. So next, this would actually be the lowest low, but it's very close. So to draw this line, I'm going to go on the 1 month time frame. All right, so if I'm not mistaken, yes, this is the lowest low. Okay. So this candle and this candle looks like it's about on the same level. So I'm actually going to start it from here. So again, we're going to start from the lowest low, drag out until it's below the most recent movement in the market, and pull it up until it touches one of the lows that comes before the highest high, which is here. So I just want to make sure it's touching. All right, there we go. So Omar, I know it's a bit late, but I see your comment now. Yes, you would look at the chart. All right, so now we're going to move quickly to the 1 week time frame. And again, just readjust our line. Once again, another trick that you can use inside of the market is you can drag on the dates to move left or right, or you can drag on the pips to move up and down, or to make your candles longer or shorter. All right. So now I am just going to go from the last point that came closest to the line, which would be right here. Drag it out until it's below the red arrow and pull it up until it touches one of the candles that comes before the highest high from there, which in this case would be right here. So all right, and again, this is why you do want to zoom in, because now I can see that the line was crossing through the candles. All right, and there you go. So let's move to the 1 day time frame. All right, so it's touching. And it looks like it's touching, okay. So that we could actually see this line, I'm just going to shorten it, but to do that, I do need to take a look here. All right, so it's touching. All right, now we are going to jump to the, let's see, 1 day. All right, everything is still relevant. We're going to draw a line from the last point that touched the line. And 4 hours. Readjust. Inner trend line. One-hour time frame. Readjust. And inner trend line. All right, so that inner trend line would have been broken, but we do have another one that started to develop. So, or is in the process of developing. It would really depend on whether this candle closes higher or lower. And just in case, we're going to draw a counter trend line to see if that counter trend line actually broke, which it looks like it started to, but it hasn't officially broken as yet. So that being said, let's see. We don't exactly have a candlestick formation just yet because this would have been, if you guys remembered me talking about it, this would have been a bullish shooting star, red full body candle on the right with a green hammer on the left. But if you take a closer look at it, that red candle is not a full body candle. So we're going to see what it develops into. Now, just before that, you actually had a bullish morning star. So just to show you again what that looks like, red full body candle on the left, indecision candle in the center, and green full body candle on the right. So again, that green candle must close above at least 60% of the bearish or red candle, just to show you what that looks like. I'm going to use a horizontal line. All right, so if we can identify the 50% level, just a little above that should be the 60%. So you could see this green candle definitely closed above that 60% level. So this actually closed all the way above the red candle itself. So that being said, that was a bullish morning star, an indication that the market was going to go up. And as you could see afterwards, the market started to go up. But this is a little too undecided, so I would not recommend setting a trade just yet. It looks like tonight the markets really are not sure on where they're going to go, but I think it might be because all of the pairs that we've looked at thus far have pretty much had either AUD or USD inside of it. So let's take a look at NZD JPY. All right, it looks like we have some secure movement. So we are going to quickly do this one. All right, just so you guys can see, I'm deleting all the drawings just to make it a clean, easy start. All right, so this market is definitely moving in an uptrend. So we're going to start from the lowest low, drag out until it's below the most recent movement, pull it up until it touches one of the highs that comes before, one of the lows that comes before the highest high, which would be this in this case. So that was broken. Let's see. You might have to go on the monthly to see better development. And again, it looks like this trend line was broken. So let's move to the 1 month time frame. All right, so we're going to go from highest high, drag it out until it's above the red arrow, pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low. That definitely was broken. So now we would be going from here, drag it out below the red arrow, pull it up until it touches one of the lows that comes before the green candle here. So that would be the highest high. All right, so we have got some serious indecision going on in these years and months. COVID has really hit these markets because what we're actually seeing is the development of the markets in the candles that would have happened. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this would have been from last year, February. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would have been year before last February. So we had some upward movement. The NZD, or the New Zealand dollar, was going up in value, but it looks like from the start of or end of last year, NZD started to go down. So compared to the Japanese yen. All right. Let's see. So we can look at it on the 1 week time frame, since that would have actually. All right, so once again, we're starting from, this would be the last point that broke the trend line. This would be the highest high. Drag it out until it's above the red arrow and pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low. Great news, the lowest low is actually the candle just before the one that's developing right now. So hopefully this movement is more recent, or will actually stay. So we are going to go on the 1 day time frame to draw our outer trend line. Again, you select the trend line, go from the last candle that touched the line, drag it out until it's above the red arrow, pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low, which is this right here. Okay, so now we are going to go to the 4-hour time frame. All right, we're all good. It's not crossing through anything, but here it needs to be readjusted. All right, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So the market is moving in an upward trend on the in a counter trend right now on the 4-hour time frame. So we know that it's trying to get to the outer trend line, but so that we could see whether it broke the trend line or not. Okay, it did. Let me know if you guys actually catch on to the trend lines, or if you need me to explain it each time that I am drawing it. Okay, so Omar Mills is asking if I trade US 30. I do not currently trade US 30, but we can take a look at it tonight if you guys would like. So I am still very adamant on us setting at least 2 trades tonight. But it looks like we could get our first one from NZD-JPY, possibly, and hopefully our second one from US 30 or CAD-CHF. So let's see. Now you guys can see from we started this live, we've been on for 1 hour and 24 minutes. So essentially, when you're going through the charts, just like how we are doing right now, that's about the amount of time that it can take when you're going through the various charts, which is why I recommend only having 3 to start off with, so you guys can get familiar with it. All right, so we're gonna go to the 1 hour time frame. And make sure everything is still touching. Okay. So we do have more development. We're going to go from the last point that touched the counter trend line and drag it up. All right. And there we go. So now we could see that the market developed what we call a bullish piercing line. So for this one, we should be able to enter a trade on the 1 hour time frame. And as you can see, there is a lot of space in between the counter trend and the line. So we know that the market is going to try to get back here before it starts moving down again. All right, so just to show you guys what the bullish piercing line looks like, it has the red full body on the full body candle on the left, green full body candle on the right that closes above at least 60% of the previous red candle. So if you guys could see that, we can find, let's say here is about 50%. So about here would be 60%, and it's above the 60% level. That is for the body of the candle. So that being said, we can go in for a buy. Now, once again, I do recommend that you guys use lot size 0.01. And using the candlestick formation, we're going to set our stop loss. So we will set our stop loss 10 pips below the lowest point in the candlestick formation. So that is here. And look at that. Oh, that's a history, sorry. I thought we were already in the green. So every trade that you enter, don't worry when you see this red. You will always start off in the red because the broker takes out their fee before you actually start to make a profit or as you enter each trade. To see what that fee is going to be, you would look at this. It's actually an amount of pips. So it would be 3.3 pips for NZDJPY. It is higher on Sundays because Sundays is when the market is just opening, and Fridays, which is because the market is closing. So there's not as many people that are trading in the market as yet on a Sunday, which is why it's usually higher. And not as many people trading in the market on a Friday because it's usually closing on that day, which is why it's usually lower. So that being said, our stop loss is going to be 75.936. So if we just click below SL, then we'd be able to enter it, 75.936. And we can see that we are risking 27.4 pips. If we multiply that by 2, let's just round that up to 28. And that means that we are looking for 56 pips. So again, you guys can set your take profit in 2 ways. Either you can type in 56 pips here, but again, it'll be from where the price currently is instead of 56 pips from your entry point. So the way that I usually recommend it, so that you actually get the you actually gain twice as much as you would be risking, it would be measuring from your entry point above the 56 pips. And you can see it's not too far off. So the take profit is going to be 76.824. I will type that in the chat for you guys. And I do recommend that you set this trade as soon as possible. 76.824. This is again on the demo account. So there is a way where you can automatically have your stop loss move once the market goes to a certain level, and that is what we call a dynamic stop loss. So if we click on SL, you can choose trailing and either fixed or dynamic. So in this case, we are going to choose fixed. And since we are risking 27 pips to secure us with 5 pips of profit once the market moves in our direction, this stop loss is going to move once the market gets to, let's see, we're going to put it to 34 pips above our entry point. Trailing, fixed, and 34. So, okay. All right, so it looks like my internet isn't really working with us right now, but that is essentially what you can do. So I'm going to type it in the chat for you guys. All right, so you would buy, this is NZD JPY with take profit being 76.824 and your stop loss being 75.936. So that is our first trade. And again, this is combining candlestick formations and trend lines. Let me know once you guys have entered it so we can move on to our second trade for tonight, which hopefully will be made in USD CHF or USD 30. All right, so while I'm waiting on you guys to let me know when you set it, once again, it is inside of the chat, so you guys could let me know. Yeah, so you just click on buy or sell for where it currently is. Now, once again, once the market gets 5 pips over your entry point, I would not recommend buying anymore at that time or selling, if whichever you would be trading. So please, if you only have one device, sign off on this for now. Open up if you have MetaTrader 4 on your phone and take a screenshot if you need to of the prices that was sent inside of the chat on YouTube and Facebook, and then set the trade. So whether that's MetaTrader 4 or Smart Trader, that is up to you. If you have a phone, you can use MetaTrader 4. If you have a laptop, desktop, tablet, if you're using your smart TV, whatever you're using to look at the charts right now, if it's not a phone, I recommend smarttrader.com. You can also use smarttrader.com for the phones, but for the phones, it's usually easier to use MetaTrader 4. All right. So once again, guys, please do let me know once you have entered that trade. For now, I'm just going to go to the news and look for NZDJPY. Okay, let's see, Forex news. All right. AUD/USD is moving in an uptrend. If you guys trade silver, then it looks like, let's see, here says, okay, so that means that silver compared to US dollar is rising. All right, it looks like the US dollar. All right, so it looks like the US dollar was increasing in value lately. Now, all of this, if you look at the date, except for the silver, all of this is set for news to come out for tomorrow. So it's based on what the FED says for the US dollar, which explains why for all of the USD pairs, we're having indecision. So pretty much most of them, indecision. Now, what I would like to see is AUD. But we can check that another time. So what helps with knowing what's coming out next for each currency pair is the economic calendar. And what I appreciate is they already have color markings next to it. So as you could see, the orange the orange represents moderate movement. The yellow represents small movement. Red represents major movement. And white, which is basically empty in the levels, would represent little to no movement. So for the Chinese yen or yuan, we have, or yuan, however it's pronounced, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. You already have some news that came out thus far, and it was moderate. So you could read more on it if you're trading the Chinese yuan. For the Japanese yen, we have two types of, I guess you could say, low movement coming out. For the CHF, we have, which is the Swiss franc, we have the moderate movement. So do pay attention to the news. It helps you with your trades. Once again, just waiting for you guys to let me know if you guys have entered the trade as yet. I see a number of you came back on. Please let me know if you set the trade as yet. All right, observation complete. Said that he set his. All right, so for everyone else, for the sake of time, we are just quickly going to switch to CAD-CHF and see if we could get that second trade for tonight. So the beautiful thing about CAD-CHF is the entire development of it is actually a trend in and of itself. So it has been going down from it began, and right now it looks like it's still going down. So once again, to draw your trend line, you're going to start it from the highest high. And the most recent movement here, this is the lowest low, so we're going to drag it out until it's above the red arrow, pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before, that comes before the lowest low. So again, this is the lowest low. So that would be here. So it looks like the market was trying to break the trend and go up for Canadian dollar compared to Swiss franc. So now we're going to go to the 1 month time frame, look at more development, and yeah, we could see that it definitely did break that trend line. So it looks like the market is starting to move in an upward trend on the 1 month time frame. So we're going to draw our line from the lowest low, which again would be the most recent movement, until it touches one of the lows that comes before the highest high, which would be here. So again, indecision, the market broke another trend line. Let's go on the 1 week time frame and see if we could get something better. All right, so now we're going to start from the, let's see, looks like that would have been the highest high. So, all right, we would be starting from here, dragging out to, again, the most recent movement, or is that not the highest high? And pulling down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest point, which would be here. So there we go. And it looks like the market is actually moving in a downtrend right now. Let's go to the 1 day time frame. And it looks like the outer trend line was broken, so the market is trying to get back to the long-term trend line. So again, we're going to set our trend line to the lowest low, drag it up until it touches one of the lows that comes before the highest high, which in this case would be here. All right, so now it's touching, it's not crossing. All right. So this is the highest high. I do apologize, I had it connected here when it should have been connected here. So with CADCHF, it really is looking like it is doing some serious consolidation. So we're going to go on 4-hour time frame and see what it's doing. Just as I suspected. Oh, okay, so we could readjust our line and hopefully those two candles are no longer going to be crossing through, hopefully. Okay, so they are still crossing through. The only way that we would readjust this line is if the market made a high that was higher than this one, since that is currently the highest high. Now the market currently looks like it's going up, but where CADCHF is not too sure on what it is doing, I would recommend letting it develop more since this is only Sunday. So we are going to let that be for now. So let's look for USD 30. Alright, so I do apologize, Omar. It looks like I do not have access to USD30 on smarttrader.com. Alright, so let's see, another currency that usually... AUDCHF is usually a good one, so we could take a look at that. Alright, it looks like it's currently moving in a downtrend. So we are going to start from highest high, drag it out until it touches, until it is above the red arrow, and pull it down until it touches one of the wicks or candles that comes before the lowest low. So I'm just going to zoom in to make sure it is touching. Alright, so again, we're going to grab another trend line and draw from the last point to touch the line, drag out to the most recent movement, and pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low, which is right here. So just readjusting so that it can actually touch the last point to touch the line. And we could see this this outer trend line was broken. So now we can draw a counter trend line and see if it is still in effect. So we draw from lowest low, pull it out until it is below the red arrow, pull it up until it touches one of the lows that comes before the highest high. So again, the counter trend line was broken. Now I'm going to move to a 1 week time frame and see if we can get an outer trend line from there. Alright, so this would have been... Alright, so now we draw it from here. This would have been where the line was broken. Pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low, which in this case would be here. So right now, this is the line that the market is currently respecting. So we are going to go to 1 day time frame. Wow, we had some major movement in AUDCHF. Let's see, that was November 25th. So, okay, nothing is crossing through. The line is still being respected. And this was from last year. So I'm going to go on the 4-hour time frame. All right, so that's a little bit too much development. So back on the 1 day from the last point to touch the line. Let's see. Pull it down until it touches one of the highs that comes before the lowest low. Alright, it's touching. So we have our outer trend line. Let's see if we have another. No, okay, that would have been broken. Let's see if we have a counter trend line, which looks like that would have been broken. Alright, and now we could go to the 4-hour. and we could readjust the line as needed. All right, so now it's touching. Now we could jump to a 1 hour time frame and draw our inner trend line. So that would be from the last high, pull it down until it touches one of the candles that comes before the low. So as we could see, the inner trend line was broken. The market is currently moving in a counter trend. So we're going to go from the last low, drag it out until it's below the arrow, pull it up until it touches one of the highs that is before the last high, which would be right here. So again, it looks like the market would have broken the counter trend since this is 60% below. But this market is fairly indecisive right now, so I definitely would not recommend trading this right now. It looks like it's still trying to respect the inner trend line, but again, I would not recommend trading it at this time because it is not clear whether it is moving in a counter trend still and trying to get further up here. We will find out if it makes a high that is higher than this one, then we will have a counter trend, and that means that the market is trying to go up here. Otherwise, if the market makes a low that's lower than this one, we know that the market is still continuing further down, so we need more development from that. So it looks like for the sake of time, we would have only had one trade from tonight. I really wanted to enter 2 trades with you guys, but it looks like since the market just opened up from 5 p.m. today, it needs more time to develop for each of the trends. The beautiful thing is, now that we have all of our trend lines drawn on, we don't have to worry about drawing the trend lines again tomorrow morning, or at least for my examples to you guys. Tomorrow morning, I do expect to see you guys drawing your trend lines on your charts. We will be switching through the screens to make sure that you guys are drawing it as effectively as possible. And we will be setting trades in the morning. So I'm really looking forward to trading with you guys tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Please let me know if you got to enter the trade from tonight. Let's see if it is still... All right, so it's still a pretty good place to enter since the market hasn't gotten above our entry point as yet. So that being said, I want to thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I want to thank you guys for participating, for commenting, and for being inside of the WhatsApp group. As for, let's see. As for Wilton McKenzie, I will be adding you. Thank you so much for sending the message. So once again, thank you all. Have a blessed evening. Have a good night. Let's pray before we go, though. So please bow your heads. Father, we thank you so much for tonight. We thank you for showing us how to combine the trend lines and the candlestick formations. We thank you for allowing us to connect from wherever we are so that we can come together and trade together. We ask you, Father, to build bonds and really to help each of us to become proficient traders, each of us to become master traders, each of us to use the trading to actually fund any of the ideas or dreams that you've blessed us with. And we ask, Father, that you would guide us so that we would bring those dreams into fruition. We thank you for blessing each and every one of our brothers and sisters. We ask you to encourage everyone tonight. We thank you for the empowerment that you are bringing to this country. And we ask you to continue to use us as your vessels. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So thank you all so much. I pray that God blesses and provides for each of you. And really, I do look forward to getting to know each of you, hearing about your whys, and just everything that we are going to do together. I look forward to hearing about your dreams. I look forward to hearing about what you're going to be using the trading for and how you're going to develop your life. So have a good evening. Really appreciate you guys.